Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, is it not? Yes, it is. I'm already ready for the weekend, folks. Welcome. Derry Bennett, Quad Bennett, live stream debate Thursday. Too bad we can't see any of that on Twitch. True. No, maybe it's for the best. Charles Leclerc, debate Thursday. Oh, yeah, sneaked up on me. Yep. And what's funny is, I could have sworn we talked about this. I could have sworn we talked about the couple of debates that are happening. Also, Heat, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Almost at 3 years. That's right. Just one more month. The rule is funny though. Microphones will be muted unless a candidate is directed to speak. Oh yeah, we're gonna go over some of that. Folks, join the Discord. It is quite possible. It is quite possible that we may attempt to stream it on the Discord so that the old Twitch and YouTube's doesn't get us. It's a necessity. Yeah, I'm afraid it's gonna be just that Simpsons old man yells at Cloud meme. I'm gonna wager that we're not gonna learn a lot of new information here, and I'm gonna also wager that it's not going to change people, you know? I just don't see the debates having much of an impact. Walter, welcome. Vaquita gang. Vaquita, as I was saying, went to the vet and surprisingly, I should say, she did very, very well. She did not maul the vet, so that's good. This vet that she saw this time was very good at being able to handle Vaquita. And so, backstory. I don't think I went too much over this, but backstory. Vaquita, a couple days ago, had a infection on her foot, on her paw. And we actually tried to get her to the vet Saturday. And maybe it's just because she was stressed out. Maybe she was in pain because of the little infection on her paw. I don't know. But she was just unmanageable. And we could not get her to the vet. We could not get her to take her medicine to be able to go to the vet. She was incredibly spicy. And earlier today, we got her to take her medicine, and we were able to take her to the vet. The vet saw her. It turns out that it wasn't as big a deal. I was just worried that maybe, an infection could spread. Even if it looked like she was getting a little better, I was worried that maybe it just kind of moved. But anyways, long story short, she went to the vet. She behaved herself, and everything is good. She didn't even need medicine. She didn't even need antibiotics. Michael Hassler, welcome. Did she get a cut or something? I think it was a scratch, I'll be honest. It was like right underneath her paw. It was like right underneath her paw. But, well, at least everything is good. Thank you, Walter. Any predictions for Thursday night? I think one or both of them will have a major hair malfunction. I mean, we can make a bingo card. We can make a bingo card and put it up on the Discord. All right, folks. It's time to get started. How much effort do we want to put into this? That's very true. That is very true. How much effort do we really want to put on this? Not much. Not much. Hitting the stream button on Discord and kind of intermittently checking back is not too much effort. Or maybe we can get one of those pre-made bingo cards that you can just edit and make online that takes like 5 seconds, because that's about the extent that's about the extent of the effort being put into this. Yes, join the Discord. So what time is the debate starting? I pulled up an article. Maybe it's gonna tell us. I believe it might be some 7, maybe. Seven or 9. Usually that's when the debates are, but I think this will tell us. Let me find this this article here. Okay, so it's Thursday. This will be in the CNN Atlanta. Oh shoot. Okay. "90-minute debate." Oh, it's not too bad. It's 90 minutes. But when is this? Now this article, like the only reason I pulled up this article is because I want to go over the rules. So maybe stream right up until then and then get on Discord, maybe. Or maybe end stream, take a break. Maybe end stream, take a break, and then kind of get into it. Give people time. Kind of like an you remember back in the day where films used to give intermissions. Um, yeah. Dave Dole said he might do a live stream too, like an actual like live stream. That's playing with fire. I don't know if he thought it through yet. Because, I mean, it would be easy to just kind of do, instead of making like a regular stream on Thursday, just don't do a stream and just wait until the debate starts and do a live react. Um, and do a live react on the debate. I could do that. The problem is that, that's kind of gambling. We're rolling the dice on that one, especially with CNN. Um, we're kind of rolling the dice, so I don't know. We might just do. We could start early for the debate, late for the stream. Yeah, I mean, like instead of just doing the stream, we'll just do the debate, right? But like that's the problem, right? You know, um, CNN will copyright strike if you try to do that. Um, so I don't know. Maybe the simplest course of action is to do like a normal stream, but make it like a shorter stream. Like just make it like an hour, or maybe an hour and a half stream, just to get people, um, aware, like a pregame, and then being like, hey, by the way, in a couple of hours, or in an hour, or whatever, whenever the debate starts, join us on the Discord. I could just simply hit play. Um, I mean, I could just simply hit play. I think you've got it. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. We're out here planning content live. I think I've got it. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes the most sense. Um, I think that makes the most sense, right? Because Thursday is stream day, anyways. Thursday is stream day, anyways. We'll just do a short stream. We'll just do a short stream, make it an hour and a half, something like that. And during that whole time, I'll make sure to remind folks that when the debate starts, to join the Discord, so that we remain on the interwebs, so that we remain with a channel with with an operating channel, and just join us on Discord, and bada beam, bada boom. There you go. Which, if you haven't done so, uh, join the Discord. All right, folks, let's get started. We have a few things to go through. I still need to find out what time the debate is. What time is the debate? Thursday. Okay, so 9 p.m. Yeah, like prime time. My kid is going to a sleepover that night. Well, there you go. The debate is 9 p.m. Eastern time, so definitely that actually works, because that actually works, because I can just I can just hang tight for a couple of hours, or I can just hang tight for a couple of hours, and then that gives me time to prepare for the debate, or just to do random stuff around the house. The True Steel. Welcome. All right, folks, let's get started. Join the Discord if you haven't done so. If you want to continue supporting the channel, there are many different ways. You can follow us here, subscribe, consider checking out the merch store. There are many different ways. I appreciate all of you supporting the channel. Let's get started, folks. I think we should probably start here.
I overheard Matt talking when I was watching on YouTube how he joined Blue Sky, and you know, I've sort of been in that same mindset of like Twitter as a platform, like the makeup of it is very different now, and like I'm not like just complaining because like, oh, Elon Musk, I hate him and I don't want to be on his platform. No, because I stayed around for quite a while after he acquired the platform. It's more than just Elon Musk buying it. It's how the platform has changed in the subsequent year and a half since he's bought it. And obviously his like changes have affected that makeup of Twitter. But like, it's not just because a guy I'm not a fan of bought it. It's because of what has happened to it. And
yeah, like, let me be clear. Like, Twitter was pretty bad. Twitter was a cesspool. But yeah, ever since Elon took over, it's just like worse. It is objectively worse. Yeah, a cesspool. There you go. A cesspool. A pool of sus. A pool of sus. Indeed.
I think like maybe if anything else was happening in the world, I could have dealt with it just like every other thing that's ever happened on Twitter. Like I've faced all sorts of like harassment, doxing on Twitter before. It's nothing new. But like I'm just not in the mood to argue with the new Twitter makeup of Twitter over whether innocent Palestinian people are full human and deserve to live a life. So like I've never been on Twitter less. Like I still check it because so many news media outlets use it, and it's important way that I've developed over.
Yeah, unfortunately, like Twitter is still pretty freaking massive. So therein lies the problem with the privatization of something like this, right? The privatization of the public square. Hello, person that's been banned in quite the amount of channels. Why do you look like the other one there, but with a hat? Like the other one there. If that when you were younger, sure, dude. Give me 1 second, folks. Maybe a brother or cousin. Yeah, sure. Anyways, give me 1 second, folks. I think I just got a call from the vet. 1 second. Oh, but just be a second, folks. Oh, maybe it was a mistake. I see. Okay. Yeah, they left me a voicemail, so just to give a quick TLDR, they were just giving some information for behavior. Oh, wait, there they are. Hold on. Give me 1 second, folks. How rude! Now we're just playing phone tag. Playing phone tag. All right. So as I was saying, yeah, C3PO speaks. As I was saying, so they called because we asked about maybe an animal behaviorist to try to help Bakita because she's very abnormally stressed out. Abnormally stressed out. Uh, Trying to associate, trying to get the two cats together. Like Buddy's already at the stage. Buddy at this point is already at the stage where he doesn't really mind her that much. He does not care. He just wants his food, and he's good to go. And they just called to let me know that they have another animal behavior set in case the first suggestion doesn't work out or is too full, I should say. That we could try this place over here. So that's all. Cognizant coming in with a tier 1 sub for 28 months. Greetings. I hope it hasn't been a difficult week. Ha! Well, it is. My cat Boo is very sensitive. Yeah, so, we're just trying to see what we can do. For Bakita, so I'm glad that the vets gave us these suggestions. Also, like this vet that saw her this time today, It was a new vet, and Mrs. Truth was saying that this new vet knows what they're doing, um, and they were able to handle Vaquita very, very well, um, to the point where Vaquita was rubbing up on the vet, and she was not stressed, not really stressed at all, and so yeah, definitely definitely that made the experience much better. So that's the path, or at least that's a path we can take with Makita the cat. So we'll keep y'all posted. Anyways, back to Twitter bad.
Over the years to keep up with the news, but in terms of me actively using it, I had to step away for a little bit. I don't post as much. Maybe something will reinvigorate my passion for getting into the weeds and shit posting on Twitter. But right now, I stepped away. It's just not fun anymore.
No, it still retains some of its utility for the reasons you said about like the journalists, but just as a network, it's degraded.
Oh, it's not a network anymore, and you can barely have real conversations in that. Well,
I mean,
technically,
objectively, but it's just like
Yeah, so yeah, it's bad. Well, I do often say there's a bunch of well-educated morons out there in the weirdest professions too.
not as useful of a one as it used to be, and
Right.
It's still one that you kind of have to be in this profession to like interact with like the news and get people to notice commentary and stuff like that. But I am actively on other ones because it's less useful than it used to be, and I'm hoping something, or I'm looking for what comes next. Because it's like phones, like everybody knows that their phones, like dial-up or landline, or I don't even know what the terminology is, the actual phone service, nobody answers their phone anymore because it's all scam calls. That is, we should not be so.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good analogy. That's actually a pretty good analogy. Like I just don't answer the phone, unless there's a caller ID. Unless there's a caller ID or number that I recognize, or a number that I could potentially recognize, I just don't answer the phone. If it's really important, they'll call more than once. If it's important, they'll call more than once and probably leave a voicemail. If it's like an actual company or whatnot. Yeah. You know, I don't even answer normal texts that much, with the exception of like my family or friends. Yeah, I just don't answer texts.
I guess blasé about the fact that these communications networks are being degraded right in front of our eyes. And think about what that means, for instance, a world where there's more natural disasters or a political unrest. Like, it's not good.
well, it's not funny to me that these parody accounts with fake news are like the top thing that's suggested, and that
Yeah. It's seriously a problem. Only the boomers and older have VoIP now. Phone services seem to think it's still in widespread use. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind having like an actual landline, because sometimes, if the phone goes down, like during a storm or something, then yeah, you're kind of out of luck there. But who else is texting you besides family and friends? Scammers. Scammers. Lost my landline last century. Oh man, I grew up with a landline. I had a landline and dial-up. I still remember my old house phone number. Me too. Me too. Because you had to. Right? And now that's funny. Now I don't even remember my own dang cell phone. I don't even remember my own cell phone because I don't need to. That's pretty bad. You okay? No, I just don't need to remember it. Like I don't consider it pertinent information to keep on standby. That's that can be easily accessed in like 5 seconds. Because like 99% of the time, I'm gonna have my phone somewhere in the vicinity or able to reach my phone. But yeah, you need to watch Inside Out because they talk about that. Okay. True analog landlines are being dismantled because they are way too expensive to run, maintaining all the batteries for dial tone. Really? That's unfortunate because I would actually like a true analog landline. In the event that there's like a storm or something, I could still contact, I could still call like my parents or something out of where I am. I kept my landline just until just last year. I have kids and they want, and until they were mature enough for cell phones, I wanted a home line, so there was always a way for them to call me. Nice. That sounds like a good idea. Honestly. How do you get gas rewards at the supermarket? By buying stuff. A satellite phone? Nah, that's too expensive. It is an option. It is an option. It will work. Let's say like a really bad storm happens here and it knocks out the cell phone usage here. A satellite phone would work. I just think it's more expensive. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Cell towers all have backup power supplies now and do all the fiber nodes that connect them. That's a good point. If that's true, the likeliness of cell service going down becomes a lot less.
There are bots that are basically the first and last people that are commenting on posts and clearly there to drum up engagement. You know, like I had like a provocative tweet yesterday that some people picked up on where I was saying how I was just getting fired up listening to all these liberals talk about the two-state solution, and I basically said it.
Yeah, and remember when Elon said he was going to get rid of all the bots? Yeah. Pepperidge Farm remembers. I have no clue, just spitballing. Me neither. It may be the case that I'm wrong.
That's just a continuation of apartheid. I could have elaborated a little bit more, but I forgot Elon gave me my blue check back, so now people actually see my tweets. But yeah, I mean,
you were complaining about being shadow banned a few weeks ago.
Well, and then he gave my blue check back, and I'm like, oh crap! Now I'm getting all this engagement, and it's really mostly from right wingers, and that's what's populated the site. Just elaborating on that point a little bit, if in the past I think Twitter could have been a place where we had a conversation about what I mean by that, which I was being provocative intentionally, but it's more just about how a two-state solution is basically a virtual impossibility because Palestinians live 3 million in the West Bank, 2 million in Gaza, within greater Israel, because Israel controls all of that territory, whether it be through blockade or military occupation. And to draw lines along 1967 borders, which I still think is a pipe dream that won't happen, but even if that were to happen, I have zero faith that that wouldn't be done under under an apartheid-like structure, and it also further cements the land seizure from the Palestinians so that they don't have the bordering sea there, which is really important for economic prosperity and trade routes and things like that. Not to make this about that conversation, but I do think that in the past, Twitter could have been a place where we did discuss that. Now it's really just like, I'm learning the hard way. It's not the place.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want to get into
I
that?
will say, Emma, that I finally get sports. These past couple of months, I've used it to just like get my mind off of all the terrible shit in a way that I never really was drawn to it. The NHL finals with Oilers coming back. Interestingly,
sports ball. If you want something for emergencies, invest in a Crank Charge emergency radio for getting official announcements. Yeah, I've got an emergency radio. In my opinion, they need a single state with a secular constitution, no more religious entitlement and repression.
Changing. They started winning on
agree.
the day Donald Trump mentioned the Florida Panthers for the first time ever.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, he right as Game 4 started, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social about how, the Florida Panthers are playing great ice hockey and how great they are and what a great team they are. And ever since then, they've lost.
People are doing all sorts of things to disassociate.
Had the Mets with their little grimace run. It's been a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you're participating in the opiate of the masses, sports now. So
I get it now.
Yeah.
It only took me 37 years, but I get it now.
I generally think sports is a substitute nationalism that isn't entirely negative in the effect that it has in society as that. But that's just a thesis by somebody who loves sports.
Well, I love sports, and I guess there's a part of me that just is drawn to the fact that it's a community like that you can be a part of, right? Where it's connected to the city and the area I grew up in, and it's other people who are interested in the same thing, and I get to converse and have conversation, and it is, as you say, maybe like a substitute for broader social cohesion that we just don't have in this society at all.
That's how I feel when I'm watching slap fighting. Like I'm part of something larger than myself.
That's how I feel when I watch one Eastern European guy fight two smaller Eastern European young ladies at the same time in a cage. I don't know if anybody saw it on TikTok, but
I did not see that, but I did hear you say young ladies.
I'm sorry.
Next, you're going to be calling underwear panties, and we'll be really deep into the manosphere.
It's like out of Eastern Europe right now.
Yeah,
What?
it's like the Eastern European Russian MMA world where like they're still dabbling in professional wrestling with their MMA organizations. It's very, very odd.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show.
I created an account and paid the subscription fee. Oh, man. Whew. I have Hulu and Disney bundled. I don't know. Every time I want to cancel Netflix, they put something that I want to watch, so I have to like put it on the to-do list before I cancel it. And it's really annoying. Every time I get close to canceling the Netflix subscription, they're like, "Yeah, by the way, we added these things, So now I gotta add it to the list. I work the support lines for Disney Hulu. Nice. Like IT?
But
or I should say like the customer end of it. By the way, your favorite show just added 7 more seasons. You sure you want to cancel? Oh, that's pretty cool, Cognizant. Nice. I didn't know that.
Biden's age has been in the news a lot lately, especially after a couple of videos of him staring off into space and looking generally confused went viral. Now, one of those videos was deceptively edited. For example, there's a video of him at the G7 summit seemingly wandering off until the Italian prime minister comes to get him. Now, the New York Post, of course, seized on that and called him the meander-in chief. But if you zoom out or look at the video from a different angle, you can see that he's not wandering off or confused. He's just watching other skydivers and he's giving them the thumbs up. Now, there's another video of him on stage with Jimmy Kimmel and Barack Obama, where Obama comes to get him and usher him off the stage. But I don't really understand why this one is super controversial, because Jimmy Kimmel was also seemingly just staring off into space as well. But there's one last one that I saw that was making the rounds, and it was of Biden at a Juneteenth celebration where everyone is, you know, kind of dancing and having a good time. And he's just kind of standing there. And even though he's trying to play it cool, he low-key looks like he's dying. And to be fair, yeah, he does look like he's dying in that video, but he always looks like this because the man is 1,000 years old. He's decomposing before our very eyes. That's what happens to all of us when we get to that age. Now, despite the hysteria...
Yeah, I mean, we all age. Yeah, we all age, but, you know, some of us, age a little bit differently. Because, like, isn't freaking Bernie Sanders about the same age? It isn't like Bernie Sanders about the same age, and Bernie Sanders is sharp as a tack. They're close. Like freaking Noam Chomsky, who's like on his deathbed even a few years ago. Even a few years ago, like he's way more you know, lucid, but Sanders is 1 year older, and you wouldn't even like. Sanders looks at least a couple years younger than Biden. If you ever have a truly great experience calling for support from Disney Hulu, it likely came from my call center. I've seen the metrics across the board, and our center is always super high in the rankings. Well, I hope to get your team then. That's a crapshoot when you get that age. Man, I hope I win that dice roll. Jeez.
Hysteria over those videos, I do think it's clear to anyone with eyes that Biden's brain is indeed cooked. The same can also be said about Donald Trump, sure, because
genetics and lifestyle take a toll. Yeah, true.
He's also really, really old. But Trump has always been dumb as a rock, so it's easier for Americans to chalk his senior moments up to stupidity as opposed to senility, because he's kind of always been that way. You know, but without question, I think Trump is also in cognitive decline. For example, he literally forgot the name of his own doctor while boasting about how he aced his cognitive test and talked about how Biden should take a cognitive test. So, you know, it's funny as hell that he, of all people, is criticizing Biden. But since he still has a lot of energy as an old person, Americans might feel like it's not necessarily an age issue when he has a brain fart. You know, Trump is just a dumbass who says dumb things all the time. He said we should nuke hurricanes and inject bleach. So him saying something dumb isn't necessarily going to spark the same criticism as it would if Biden said it. Because, you know, For Trump, you can chalk that up to stupidity. For Biden, he wasn't necessarily always like this, so you chalk that up to old age. But it's clear that both candidates are obviously in cognitive decline. I think that's an undeniable fact of reality. With that being said, I don't actually care about their age. If anything, it's kind of a saving grace because most Americans want Biden and Trump to go away forever, and nature's going to inevitably sort that out for all of us very soon. I'm not trying to be crass. It's just a fact of reality. But to be clear, I don't dislike Biden because he's old. I dislike him because he's doing a genocide, right? I'll always prioritize policy over everything else. But I do care about age insofar as it becomes an electability issue, and it's obviously a political liability for Biden at this point. Anyone who pretends like that's not the case just isn't being honest. And there are Democratic Party hacks who try to pretend like he's not actually in cognitive decline, but that's disingenuous. It feels like you're trying to gaslight us. Americans can see that he's very clearly lost, that pep in his step. So some commentators are trying to come up with solutions to address this problem, like Kathleen Parker of the Washington Post, who argues that Hillary Clinton could be of assistance when it comes to Biden's age issue. Now, whenever a journalist...
No. Just no. That's a good point. The bar is obviously lower on one side. Yep, so the important part is not the age of the president, it's the levels of cocaine in the bloodstream.
Or Democratic Party strategists suggests Hillary Clinton as a solution to any of the party's problems, I think you should immediately dismiss that person as a dumbass or assume that they're in cognitive decline because Hillary Clinton is an out-of-touch warmongering elitist who goes out of her way to spit in the faces of half of the Democratic Party. So if she wants to help, staying as far away from Democrats during election season as possible is the only way that she can possibly help. But when it comes to Biden's age problem, how exactly could Hillary Clinton, of all people, help in this regard? She's also old.
If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, don't miss your chance to enroll in a dual special
Can we just take a second to acknowledge the perfectly timed ad?
needs plan. Call today to speak with a licensed agent and explore 20.
Cool.
Would they bring her on stage at events to be like, hey, look at how agile he is for his age. He's much more, agile and energetic than my husband, Bill Clinton, who's also 1,000 years old. I mean, what role could she play? Well, Kathleen is going to argue that Democrats should actually replace Kamala Harris with Hillary Clinton in order to ameliorate concerns about Biden's age. Let that sink in for a moment.
Wait.
In other words...
Yeah, so, wait a minute. Listen, Kamala Harris is pretty awful. Kamala Harris is pretty awful, but if you want to make the argument, to alleviate the age concern, isn't Hillary Clinton a lot older than Kamala Harris? Isn't she, a lot older? Correct me if I'm wrong. How old is the vice president? Yeah, Kamala Harris is only 59. Hillary Clinton is 76 compared to Kamala's 59. $54? I don't know, close, somewhere around there, close enough. Yeah, in comparison to Hillary's 76, what is the argument exactly here? $64? Let's do some quick math. Wait, this one's okay. Yeah, about 59. All right, close enough. Let's get some Jamal Bowman VP action. Nah, that's not gonna happen. She'll be 60 this year. Yep. Yeah, no. Jamal Bowman's being, as Michael Hassler pointed out, being attempted to be ousted by the own Democrats. That's absurd.
Swap out the one young person with an old lady, and that's going to solve Biden's age issue. I'm not making this shit up. So let's dive into the article a little bit here so we can hear out Kathleen. She writes, inarguably, a significant obstacle to a Biden win is Kamala Harris, whose low popularity has not been improved by her lackluster performance.
Yeah, as opposed to Hillary Clinton's massive popularity, right? As opposed to Hillary Clinton's massive popularity. Yeah, this is making total sense, folks. What exactly is this person drinking? Like, I actually want to know, because I would like some. Like, cause they're living in an upside down world here. This is absurd. Okay.
Performance as vice president. More independents and disenchanted Republicans might swing for Biden if it weren't for the prospect of a President Harris. That's wishful thinking. Not because of her sex, race, or any other demographic category, but because of her competency or lack thereof. I'm not alone in suggesting that Biden replace Harris, perhaps in exchange for a key role in his administration. Serving as Attorney General at least would be in her wheelhouse. Several alternative candidates have been suggested, including Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, and, needless to say, Taylor Swift. Kidding, though her outspoken contempt for Trump isn't nothing. So, kidding but not kidding? Seriously? No one has mentioned her as a possible running mate for Biden as far as I know. But why not replace Harris with Clinton? At 76, she might want no part of it, but it's hard to retire when you feel your job isn't done. It's not narcissism, it's that she feels this obligation to the country. Fuck off. If Biden needs to step down, even those who didn't vote...
It's her turn. Oh my God.
For Clinton would have confidence in her ability to keep the country on track. It's just the thought, but worse ideas have been met with regrettable success. Oh, it's just the thought. Let me write it down in this multi-thousand word essay about why it's a great idea. But at least she's aware enough to know that people are going to think this is a bad idea, because it's a bad idea. And not just a bad idea. Perhaps one of the worst ideas ever. And the fact that you thought that this was a good idea, Kathleen, makes me wonder if you're in cognitive decline.
Yeah, like, it's silly, man. This is just so silly. This is so silly. How do you unironically make these arguments? I don't get it. The only thing that would make sense is that she's being paid to make this. That's the only thing that makes any sense, is that she's just being paid to make to just write this down, because the logic, the argumentation just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You're just making stuff up, and putting it as a legitimate argument that people should take seriously. Like, seriously, think about it for like 5 seconds. You're saying that, honestly, if people's concerns are Biden's age, the best course of action is to put someone who is decades older and not very popular. Okay. She had to have been paid for this. The country doesn't need to be kept on track. It needs a totally different track. I agree.
Hell, after reading this, I feel like I'm in cognitive decline, because the logic here is deeply idiotic.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm no Kamala fan, but you're scapegoating her for Biden's age issue because apparently Biden dying while in office is such a scary prospect because it will lead to Kamala as VP, that's why people don't want to vote for Biden, but then you recommend the one person that perhaps is more hated than Kamala Harris in the entire country, Hillary Clinton. This strategy makes no sense. It sounds like you're just a Hillary Clinton sycophant.
Right.
But then you're like, no, I'm going to try to find some way to intellectualize this and strategize and put this in an op-ed. Amazing. Amazing. Listen, I won't pretend like Biden's age isn't an issue that's hurting him, because it is. But I don't necessarily think that that's why he's polling so poorly. He was still old as shit in 2023 when he was leading. So I don't necessarily think that voters are abandoning him because they're suddenly more concerned about his age, even if it is increasingly more of an issue. I think the issue here...
Yeah, the issue here is incredibly clear. The argument makes sense from the point of view of continuation of monopolistic corporate power. Yeah, I suppose so.
And why...
But it's just the way that she's trying to sell this argument. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious how absurd it is. Like, it could be taken off like a parody. It could be taken off a parody account. Melantis, they use it for clickbait. Ad revenues are based on views. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. Remember, corporations are people, and the proletariat is a liability.
He's losing in particular, especially with young people, is because they're outraged because he's supporting a genocide. He was winning before he started supporting a genocide, and now he's losing after he's supporting a genocide and refuses to stop supporting a genocide. I feel like it's pretty simple. Why are we overcomplicating this? And I don't think that young people are anti-Biden because he's old. I think that the people who supported him in 2020 aren't supporting him this time because of his support for genocide. I really do think that it's that simple. At least it explains, I think, the lion's share of support that he's lost since 2020. Now, I've played this clip on the show before, but it's worth watching again because it highlights Biden's main issue in the most concise way imaginable. So this is CNN's Harry Ensign explaining why Biden is polling so goddamn poorly.
America's support for Israel is, now this is among 2020 Biden voters who are currently not voting for him. So it's those dislike, those disapprovals. Take a look here. Do you believe that America's support for Israel is too much? The clear majority, 60% of those folks who are currently not voting for Biden, but the last time around, say that America's support for Israel is too much. Just 24% say about right. You get this 4% who say not enough. But this group is double the size of the about right and not enough combined. And a lot of those folks at this particular point aren't necessarily going for Donald Trump. They're going for RFK.
I got to say that not enough is virtually nothing here. In general, what is Biden's support among those who were with him before?
Yeah. This, I think, is the key point. Biden versus Trump 2024 poll margin. The reason Trump's ahead, he's holding on to more of his base right now. That 2020 voters leading by 81 points. Biden's just holding on, winning among that group by 73 points. That's the story of this election. It's why Trump is in much better position than he was 4 years ago.
That's the story of the election. Now, I don't think that those people will end up voting for RFK Jr. because he's a clown who's perhaps more enthusiastic.
SRD Law, who is this guy? He made a mention. He made a mention of it. Like the point being is the analysis of what the situation is here. 3 geese in a trench coat. Welcome. I am in need of hugs. Well, this is a very cozy community, so hang tight.
About Israel's genocide in Gaza than Biden. So I think that a lot of those people are either going to stay home or just vote third party. Now, other polls...
Yeah, most likely, I would say most of those people are just going to stay home. I would say they may just skip the president ballot. They may just vote down ballot if they don't stay home if they don't stay home.
Polls show that this change is being driven by young people, but media pretends to be confused about why young people are abandoning Biden. And I don't know why they don't just talk to young people, but whenever they do talk to young people, they get young people that aren't representative of the average young person. For example, The Hill published this op-ed by a young person who says that they voted for Biden in 2020, but they're not supporting him this time. And they argue that young people like him are abandoning Biden over concerns about immigration and the federal debt, while simultaneously chastising Biden for not doing enough about climate change. He also criticizes Biden, get this, for failing to codify abortion rights and same-sex marriage. But to that I say, hey, dumbass, were you not paying attention when Biden did the thing that you say he didn't do? He literally codified same-sex marriage. He signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law. It was a compromise. It's not as good as Obergefell v. Hodges, but in the event Obergefell is struck down by the Supreme Court, same-sex marriages aren't going to suddenly be dissolved. So you can criticize him for not fighting hard enough to codify Roe v. Wade, but you should give him credit for codifying same-sex marriage rights because he did that. The fact that this article was published kind of goes to show you that the standards at The Hill are pretty low. But The Hill is owned by a right-wing rich person. So I think that they want to communicate to people that Biden is losing young voters because he's just gone too far to the left. So if you can find this young person who voted for Biden but now is saying all these right-wing things about immigrants and...
yeah, that's a silly argument to say that, like, Biden is losing young people because he's going to the left, ? If he was actually going if he was actually going to the left, his support among young people would grow, not go less. So that's kind of a silly point to make by the Hill's writer.
The federal debt, then, you know, maybe that should help push Biden to the right. I don't know what the logic is, but this is a stupid fucking article, right? And when it comes to climate change, I agree that Biden isn't doing enough to fight climate change.
Correct.
He's done more.
He's done fuck all. Has there been like things here and there that he's done? Sure. But significantly, like actual hardcore legislation that is needed to address the severity of the climate crisis is just not there. It's just not there. Has he done like a little thing here and a little thing there? Yeah. More
than other presidents, but yes, it's not enough. But you can't criticize Biden for not doing enough about climate change while simultaneously bitching and moaning about the federal debt. You have to pick one, because we're going to have to rack up a lot of debt to fight climate change, and eventually those investments are going to pay off in the future. But in the meanwhile, we're going to accumulate debt investing in clean, green, renewable technology.
Yeah, also, like, who cares, right? Like, the government isn't there to be run like a business, right? The government isn't there to be run like a business. It doesn't work that way. And that is definitely like a right-wing perspective to think that the government runs in the same it runs the same way as a business. No, I don't give a shit about that or anything like that.
But I mean, the article isn't representative of the average young person. I don't hear any young people bitching about immigrants or the debts. The average young person isn't suddenly abandoning Biden because they've been duped by right-wing propaganda about the border or this invasion. I mean, this image of a young person that's being portrayed by the media is so frustrating because it's pretty clear. Like, it's not rocket science. The reason why young people are abandoning Biden is because they want the genocide to stop. They care deeply about this issue. Yes, they do want more progressive economic policies, and they want more humane immigration policies, like the one that Biden signed that does offer a pathway to citizenship for immigrants and dreamers married to U.S. citizens. I think that's great. You know, it doesn't undo the harm caused by his racist policy that he signed recently that illegally denies asylum to migrants. But, you know, that's something that he still deserves credit for. But Biden having an open border, that's not why young people are abandoning him. At the end of the day, one of the most salient issues to young people is Gaza. There's a lot of things that they care about. But right now, first and foremost, Gaza is at the top of their minds because we're witnessing a genocide. period. And until that stops, I don't think that Biden is going to win back the young people that he lost. Now, a lot can change between now and November. He could get a bump due to GOP opposition to abortion.
And it could be the case that these court proceedings really hurt Trump. To what extent, I don't know. Because let's be honest, the people that are going to vote for Trump, they're going to vote for Trump. He could be found guilty of first-degree murder, and they'll crawl on broken glass to go vote for him. So, yeah. They're all fingers and ears going la 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 about Gaza. Yeah.
And contraception and IVF. And look, maybe enough new young people registered to vote for him this time that
if Biden wins, it's because Trump shot himself in the foot one too many times. It's not because Biden is a good candidate. It's not because Biden is a popular candidate. It's not because Biden is a particularly brings out enthusiasm or anything like that.
That weren't old enough to vote in the last election. There's a lot of factors, right? But ultimately, this election is going to come down to the same thing that always determines elections. How many young people have Democrats mobilized? How many new voters have they signed up to vote? That's what it's always going to come down to. And I don't think that Biden's age is what's keeping him down. It's hurting him, sure. But
again, Bernie Sanders is what, a year? What did you say? It was a year older, 2 years older? And 1 year older, you said. Bernie Sanders is 1 year older. So that's not the issue. If Biden ran on some kind of Bernie Sanders platform, people aren't going to be like, well, what about his age? That would be, it might be on the list, but it would be on the lower rung, on one of the lower rungs. How dare you say the truth out loud, ADT? Was it difficult? He's 1 year older. Right, if he was talking like Bernie Sanders,
ultimately, that's not going to be the ultimate decider of the election. Getting people out is going to be what determines how successful he is, right? I don't think that his age is hurting him as much as his support for genocide is hurting him.
Yeah, that's no doubt about it. Specifically, how many people how many of your base can you turn out to vote versus how many of the other guy's base is going to turn out and vote. That's what this is about. In this hyper-partisan world, that's what this is about. You can slur all his work and walk with a limp. If he stops the genocide, I'll vote for him. Yeah, and that's the thing. Even then, it might not be enough, but it's a start. It's a start, and it might give him the one Hail Mary that he could use, right? Because let's say if tomorrow or right now he makes an announcement, he says, "I'm not doing this anymore. Netanyahu's cut off. I'm not selling weapons, and I'm not giving them anything. Netanyahu's done, cooked." I think that the Hail Mary at that point will be like, "Hey, all this pressure worked. All this public pressure worked. Versus if you get a Republican administration, you're not going to get that same result. I think people will still turn out if you were to make a 180. I think more people would turn out. Yes. More people would turn out than not.
So this conversation by the media, I feel like it is disingenuous because it sidesteps one of his biggest issues. So they're fixating on his age and they think that that's the reason why people aren't supporting him. But I mean, we get it. He's old. No shit. But voters didn't seem to care about his age that much in 2020 or even 2023. And I don't think that people are suddenly going to care the most about his age because Republicans shared a couple of videos where he looks confused. He's old. We all know that he's old and in cognitive decline. That's just
and that argument doesn't even make sense when the other guy is also in cognitive decline, right? He's lost Michigan. That's not good. Whew. Remember, Biden is a Democrat. If he did what you are suggesting, he would lose in a landslide. Average Democrats support Israel. It is wrong, but it's the truth. Which is why he's going after the Nimrata votes. Yeah, but that's not going to work. But like, my question, Wolfgang, because I genuinely don't know the answer to this, is what's the gamble here, right? What's the gamble between going after the two Nimrata votes, right? The two Nikki Haley voters, versus the palpable amount of people that are not going to vote for you because of this one issue. I mean, like, what's the math here? How many people are going to stay home because of this versus like how many people are going to get angry that you were a bit tougher on Israel? I don't understand. Trump is going to win. If I was a conspiracy person, I would say this whole event is what gets Trump elected. Whew. Absalom Jones, more Democrats always chase the right-wing vote. It never works. Yeah, it doesn't, that's not a winning strategy. Man, I love these clowns that decide to show up and chat. God bless Posada Bot. Thank you, Heat. Israel Gaza is Biden's COVID. Yeah, and Michael Hassler is not incorrect. It's not looking good. I'll give the bot a cookie. Yes. The bot's been doing the Lord's work. Okay, so they they deserve a cookie. And look, in the same comparison, in 2020, in Michigan, Biden was up 8.6 points. 8.6 points versus now.
Fact of reality. But I think a lot more people care more about the policy and the genocide than they care about his age, right? And I think a lot of people would be inclined to vote for him again and to come out and support him if he wasn't supporting this genocide.
Biden's coming here after debates. North Carolina ain't gonna get it for him. No, not no.
Back in the day, 1 square mile would have as many as 4 different farm families on it. Now all of a sudden you have to go 4, 5, or 6 miles to find a farmer. When the farmer leaves the community, or he has no longer a purpose within that community, he not only goes himself, but he also takes the future and the potential future when he moves his family.
Come on, baby. This is Ron Martinson. He lives in Elliott, Iowa, and raises pigs from farrow to finish, or from birth to slaughter. For generations, this is what hog farming looked like in the state of Iowa. But in the last 40 years, Iowa lost 90% of its family farms. That's 40,000 farms that used to look a lot like Ron's. In those same 40 years, the number of hogs that have been raised, slaughtered, and sold has exploded, and the profits made in the hog industry in the state of Iowa has increased by 300%. You don't see that growth in the communities anymore. So where did that money go?
It used to be you drive rural Iowa and you see animals on the land. Now you don't see them, but you smell them.
Hog farms today look a lot more like this. These large metal sheds, called Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations, or CAFOs, have taken their place.
So disgusting. Since Biden will not drop Israel, they're counting on people fearing that Trump would end the U.S. democracy. Right, but,
And all the profit that sustained farmers' lives went to just 3 companies that now dominate every aspect of the pork industry: Smithfield, JBS, and Tyson. We're going to talk about Tyson because their way of doing business set the standard not only in hog country, but in the entire meat industry. They control 20% of all the pork, beef, and chicken that you buy at the grocery store or get at fast food restaurants, including a lot of brands you might not even know they own. Tyson uses that monopoly power to charge you more and pay farmers less. It's profits off the back of farmers. It's pitted neighbor against neighbor. And Tyson has destroyed not just the economy of Iowa, but the ecology as well.
They're chasing them almighty dollar, but the people who have to live with their creations have to live next to their CAFOs on a daily basis.
Ron's style of farming is the same as his father's and 4 previous generations of farmers before.
We live around here with the idea that we want a pig to be a pig.
On Ron's farm, the lifestyle of a hog goes like this. Sows will gestate for about 4 months.
And that is 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days.
Then piglets are born in these small wooden pens. Piglets are weaned from their mothers and spend another few weeks in the field before they're transferred to hoop barns like these.
And they will be there until they're about 180 days of age. And at that time, they will weigh about 295 pounds, and that's when they're harvested.
When CAFO started arriving in the neighboring towns and counties, Ron and his father made the decision not to convert to the industrial model.
First off, it was a significant capital investment, but we also felt that the consequences from that decision were too restricting or too confining, not only in terms of our own financial commitment and our own financial security, but also the overall welfare of the animals.
But he watched neighboring farms shut down and farmers leave the area. Meanwhile, in Hardin County, where Nick Shute lives, the kind of operations that replaced farms like Ron's dot the landscape.
Kept waiting for these facilities to fail, but instead of failing, our way of life failed. There's not a whole lot of us left, us independent hog farmers.
Nick's a farmer too, but his operation has gotten smaller and smaller over the years. His bank tells him he's more like a hobby farmer. Now his neighbors are all industrial farms. Each CAFO houses between 2,500 and 25,000 hogs. 95% of hogs in America are raised in these facilities. But this method of farming is pretty new. It came to Iowa in the 1990s and it grew quickly.
It's really good stuff. I wish we'd stop this. Yep. And they get to make just above minimum wage in the factory now. Yep. Would be great to get a Kowalski react on this story. True. True.
This method of meat production is sometimes called chickenization, and there's a reason. It was first pioneered by Tyson Foods in the thousands of chicken houses they controlled in the South. Don Tyson grew up working with his father, John Tyson, who had a lucrative chicken business that trucked livestock from farms to slaughterhouses in the city. When Don got older, he wanted to expand the operation.
Don Tyson is a remarkable person. Tyson Foods was a relatively large company, but Don turned it literally into a global empire during the course of his life.
The Tyson model was to own every part of the chicken supply chain. They ran feed mills, hatcheries, trucking companies, and when that wasn't enough, they
so that's like capitalism, right? Capitalism, capitalists prefer, or it is advantageous to control as many aspects of production as possible to expand vertically, right? You control the farms, you control the distribution, you control everything.
They opened their own slaughterhouses. The only thing they didn't own was the farm where chickens were raised and fattened. That they left to the farmer. Instead, they'd sell them the buildings and equipment and then sign a contract to sell the chickens back to Tyson. The farmer is the one who takes out a mortgage for the land, who buys and builds the barns, and who cares for the animals during their short life. This is actually the part of the process where the most can go wrong. Animals packed so tightly together can get sick. Buildings corrode, extreme weather can damage your land or animals. With so many variables, it's the farmer that takes on the most risk. For nearly a century, this vertically integrated system defined the chicken industry. But in the 1990s, hogs were chickenized.
You know, the key to chicken production is concentrating all those animals into one spot. And hogs had never been raised that way before. And so Tyson had to build these hog barns that looked like chicken barns and figure out how to pack these very large 300-pound mammals into one space and raise them in the same way they raise chickens. And one thing I really need to emphasize, they did this because there was billions of dollars on the table.
Before, hogs were known as mortgage lifters. Farmers would raise other crops and animals, but hogs were always a moneymaker because pork sold for more.
Yeah, good point. Sorry this was late. Yeah, that's true. Although I don't expect to see like very horrible stuff. Good point.
At the grocery store. In 1992, 97% of farmers were independent. Now 70% of all hogs are sold under contract to buyers like Tyson. By that time, Don Tyson was a billionaire, and he spent most of his time deep-sea fishing or palling around with politicians.
The core DNA of Tyson's business model is that it can go out to massive industrial-scale customers, Walmart, like the grocery chains, and it can promise them consistent high-volume products.
The Colonel's rotisserie gold.
But to do that, Tyson needs to control every element of what's happening on the farm.
Farmers invest a lot in these buildings. To start a CAFO, farmers will take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for land and for structures built to Tyson's specification.
And if they don't comply, they're shit out of luck. No pun intended.
With all that debt, and with structures meant for hogs, it makes it difficult for them to leave the business or to convert to a different type of operation.
It really was a true corporate takeover. Tyson created a closed, contract-controlled system, and it destroyed the open and competitive system.
Ron is able to survive because he contracts with a specialty market called Niman Ranch, a subsidiary of Purdue, that he sells hogs to at a premium, as much as 44% above what conventional producers can get. Any hog that Ron doesn't sell to Niman...
I like Babe, I like bacon, but factory farming never sat right with me. It really sucks. Yeah, it's pretty freaking bad. It's really bad. It's not okay. I remember that movie.
And he takes the local auction in Red Oak. The auction used to be a bustling hub for the community farmers. Now, less than 2% of hogs are sold on the open market.
There isn't another thing like this for a great distance around me. Even within the last 15, 20 years, they have gone from hog buying stations in every county to few and far between, and a lot of folks have been forced to just head them to a weekly sale barn.
You know, there's just not as many auctions around because it's a kind of a dying breed anymore. The big boys, like your confinement and your hog deals, you know, they're all more direct. There's just a lot less competition than what we used to be.
As more farmers entered contracts, the value of pork fell. But even as farmers lost income, pork prices in the grocery stores stayed about the same. That's because as the industry consolidated, Tyson was able to charge customers more and pay farmers less. And the consequences aren't only economic. Every year as the summer heats up, lakes and rivers in Iowa shut down because of health advisories. The reason kids can't swim and people can't boat anymore in these lakes is because of hog shed.
When Americans think of agriculture, they think of Iowa. What we've seen as this industrial model take hold is that just collapse.
Austin Frere grew up in Iowa and wrote the book Barons about consolidation in America's food system.
Sell them online.
These facilities, because of the density of animals, generate massive amounts of manure.
Okay, so this map shows the rise of CAFOs in the state. Every red dot on here is a building with at least 2,500 hogs. Here it is in 1990, in 2002, in 2011, and in 2019.
Jesus.
So Iowa alone, there's 25 million hogs. Keep in mind, a hog defecates about 3 times more than a human being. So you're talking about the manure of 75 million people. That's the same as the population of Texas, California, and Illinois combined.
All that hog waste has to go somewhere. On a farm like Ron's, it's used to fertilize the crops that feed the hogs. The same thing is done on an industrial scale, but the problem is there's just too much hog waste.
The smell today produced by these factory farms that store the manure underneath is toxic. When they empty out the lagoon or the manure pits by my house, my dog does not even want to go outside.
Now more than half of Iowa's lakes, streams, and rivers are contaminated with cancer-causing phosphorus and nitrates like E. coli.
Algae blooms are creating the toxins in the water that's taking away the oxygen and killing the fish.
The drinking water is polluted too. The city of Des Moines spent $18 million over the last 20 years treating water that is overwhelmed by hog shed.
So you essentially have the waterways in Iowa are now an open sewer.
A lot of Iowans know this, and they're angry about it.
Remember the pigs on his grandfather's sharecropper farm? Yes, they be stinky.
I believe
That's
we
true.
have a right to keep our current quality of life. It should not be diminished by someone building in our midst and then hopping in his vehicle and driving away the 9 or 10 miles to his home.
But just last year, Governor Kim Reynolds cut funding for a program that monitors nitrates in Iowa's waterways. And it's not just in Iowa. Tyson has been polluting water across the country and using their monopoly power to avoid any legal consequences. Okay, it might seem like we're covering a lot, but the reason the fish are dying in Iowa's lakes and the farmers have left the land is the same. Corporate consolidation and power have put efficiency above all else, above the air and water of Iowa, above the lives of farmers, and above the community.
For every farmer we keep on the land, we have another reason for a local grocery store to stay open. We have another reason for a local church to stay open. We have another reason for a local school to stay open. And as agriculture has gotten bigger and as agriculture has gotten more specialized, we have seen the decline. I would say we've seen the demise of the smaller farmer, and consequently we've seen the disruption and the destruction of these smaller communities that used to thrive and survive.
Thanks for watching The Classroom for more Perfect Union. This is part of
Yeah. The entire, so TLDR capitalism. The entire town of Greeley, Colorado smells like dead pigs. Oof. Speaking of which, I think we should do this one. Amazon fined $5.9 million over 59,000 violations of California labor law, and that's just there. So about $100. $100? No cop stories? No. I'm sure there are. Not that caught my attention. California's labor regulator on Tuesday said it fined Amazon nearly $6 million for violating a state law aimed at curtailing the use of onerous warehouse productivity quotas. California Labor Commissioner's Office had investigated 2 Amazon facilities in Moreno Valley and the Redlands, both located east of Los Angeles, and found 59,017 violations of the state's warehouse quota laws. Officials said productivity quotas have become a common source of consternation among Amazon workers. The warehouse quota law went into effect in 2022 and requires employers to disclose productivity quotas to employees and government agencies, as well as any discipline workers may face for not meeting them. The law also prohibits employers from requiring warehouse employees to meet unsafe quotas by preventing them from taking state-mandated meal and rest breaks or using the bathroom. Amazon, quote, failed to provide written notice of quotas, the Labor Commissioner's Office said on Tuesday. The company argued it doesn't need quotas because it uses a peer-to-peer evaluation system. Yeah, whatever. The peer-to-peer system that Amazon was using in these 2 warehouses is exactly the kind of system that the warehouse quota laws was put into place to prevent, said the Labor Commissioner Lilia Garcia Brower in a statement. Amazon has in recent years faced scrutiny over how it treats warehouse and delivery employees. Yeah, that's an understatement. Seriously. Regulators and critics have specifically zeroed in on the pace of work, arguing that the speed requirements put workers at greater risk of injury. No, yeah, definitely. I can't believe that was just implemented in 2020. Yep. Washington safety regulators in 2022 fined Amazon for willfully violating workplace safety laws by requiring employees to work at such a fast pace that it put them at higher risk of musculoskeletal disorders or problems such as sprains and strains often caused by repetitive tasks. The Labor Department's OSHA has also cited Amazon numerous times for safety violations. Amazon said it would appeal all the citations. States including New York, Washington, and Minnesota have passed similar regulations, and a federal bill was introduced last month by Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts. Amazon, the second largest private employer in the U.S., behind Walmart, has previously said it doesn't use fixed quotas. Sure. Rather, the company said it relies on performance expectations. Right. That factor in multiple indicators such as how certain teams at a site are performing. It also it's very vague. It also disputed allegations that employees don't get enough breaks. Nah, come on. Come on. This is like well freaking documented. This is very well documented. There's no need to gaslight us like that. Nah, they just call it a different name. Amazon has also defended its safety record. Oh, yeah, like letting employees die at a warehouse because the management didn't want to let them leave during a tornado. Yeah. How's that for a safety record? What about all the incidents where Amazon refused to put AC in their warehouse and had employees being taken out in ambulances because it was cheaper than just putting AC units? How about that for a safety record? The company said in March that its injury rates have improved, and it announced plans to invest more than $750 million in safety initiatives this year. Sure, it's probably a record because it's the first time it's happened, but not really. Maureen Lynch-Vogel, an Amazon spokesperson, said the company disagrees with the allegations and has filed an appeal. Quote, "The truth is we don't have fixed quotas." Yeah, sorry. Listen, I'm sorry that I just don't believe you. Yeah. At Amazon, individual performance is evaluated over a long period of time in relation to how the entire site's team is performing. Employees can and are encouraged to review their performance whenever they wish. Can always talk to a manager if they're having trouble finding the information. Yeah. Oh, what was that about having an excellent safety record? OSHA itself is a joke. Yeah, I mean, like, I think, OSHA, is a good concept, but, no teeth. No teeth whatsoever. It's like the, it's like the NLRB. Like, this NLRB has been a lot better, but, yeah. There are hardly any employees. Yeah, no teeth. For Amazon warehouse staffers have complained about unsafe working conditions and the injury risks they face when rushing to fill packages and get them to customers in 2 days or less. Amazon claims its injury rate is coming down. Facility level data released last month from the U.S. Labor Department's OSHA underscore worker concerns, showing that in 2022, Amazon laborers were injured at a rate of 6.9 for every 100. In January, OSHA investigators cited Amazon for failing to keep workers safe. So, yeah, sorry, I don't believe you. They've been hacked away like the NHS. It used to be legit in the 80s, but, yeah, now, not so much. And, man, that's interesting. What happened in the 80s? What happened in the 80s going into 90s? Reagan smash. Supreme Court to decide whether states can restrict gender-affirming care for minors. Hoo boy. Sounds like Reagan rhymes with Reagan. Exactly. Reagan. The Supreme Court on Monday today agreed to hear the Biden administration's challenge to a transgender care ban in Tennessee, delving into the complicated and politically fraught issue of gender-affirming care in a substantive way for the first time. The state law enacted. What is complicated about this? About making this decision, with the making this decision with the actual professionals and the person. Like I don't understand. Sounds like it's not. Sounds like it's not the government's business. The state law enacted last year bans hormone therapy and puberty blockers for minors and impose. Yeah, hey, here's a quick question. What if, like, I don't know, the minor, the kid needs this treatment, not because for gender affirming care, but like for other reasons. Like, quit legislating shit you just don't know anything about. Because you could potentially be hurting kids who need these type of treatments who has nothing to do with gender affirming care. and impose civil penalties for doctors who violate prohibitions. It is among a growing number of state laws enacted in recent years targeting transgender care. Nearly half the U.S. states have enacted bans on transgender care for minors, according to Human Rights Campaign. The case will be heard this fall. The Supreme Court was always going to have to resolve how state bans on gender-affirming medical care can be reconciled with its approach to sex-based discrimination, said Steve Vladeck on CNN Supreme Court analyst and professor at the University of Texas School of Law. Quote, today's grant sets up an issue as one of the early blockbusters for the court's upcoming term. Laws in Kentucky and Tennessee were challenged by the Biden administration of families of transgender minors. The Supreme Court only agreed to hear the challenge filed by the Biden administration in Tennessee. In September, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati reversed the district court ruling that blocked the gender-affirming care ban from being enforced. In other words, the appeals court allowed the ban to take effect. Republican lawmakers who support the ban say decisions about care should be made after an individual becomes an adult. Opponents argue that that doesn't make any sense. Decisions about care should be made at every stage of people's lives. It's not up to you. It's up to, it's not up to you. Like, leave this to the professionals. Opponents argue, I wish them luck. I can't find any results from discussions today. Opponents argued that in addition to violating the civil rights of trans youth, the law also runs afoul of parents' rights to make decisions about their child's medical care. Tennessee law says that medical providers cannot perform a procedure that enables a minor to identify with or live as a purported identity inconsistent with the minor. Like, how do you even do that? Or treat purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. The legal fights over similar bans have been moving through federal courts for more than a year. In April, the Supreme Court allowed Idaho officials to temporarily enforce a strict statewide ban on gender-affirming care for most minors, although it did so on a temporary basis without resolving the underlying question posed by the case. Several groups that advocate for transgender youth called on the Supreme Court to strike down Tennessee's law. It's simple. Everyone deserves access to medical care that they need, and transgender and non-binary people are no exception, said Kelly Robinson, president of the Human Rights Campaign. No politician should be able to interfere in decisions that are best made between families and doctors, particularly when the care is necessary and best practice. Right, like, why is the government even involved in this? Is my question. Lucas Cameron Vaughn, an attorney with the ACLU of Tennessee, criticized state lawmakers for using the bans to fuel divisions for their own political gain. It is crucial to recognize that for trans youth and their families, this isn't about politics, Cameron Vaughn said. This is about the fundamental freedom to access vital life-saving health care. These same people who accept a heart transplant or use those little blue pills, but kids can't have access to modern medicine. Right, and like banning something like hormone therapy or puberty blockers is incredibly dangerous, because it turns out, and this is true, there are situations where kids need that. And now you're screwing them out of this healthcare. So, like, maybe you should just stay out of it and leave it to the professional and the patients. It's really that simple. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan whatever, a Republican, said his office looks forward to defending the law. This case will bring a much-needed clarity to whether the Constitution contains special protections for gender identity. Hey, who could have seen this one coming? Texas abortion ban linked to 13% increase in infant and newborn deaths. Pro-life. Pro-life. A Texas law that banned abortions in early pregnancy is associated with the stark increase in infant and newborn deaths. A study published Monday in the Journal of Journal of American Modern Medicine or something like that. Whatever. This is horrible. Yes, lawmakers passed SB 8 in September of 2021. The state law banned abortions as soon as a fetal heartbeat is detected. I hate that term, which can be as early as 5 weeks. This effectively banned abortion in the state, which used to allow abortions up to 22 weeks of pregnancy. The law did not include exemptions for congenital anomalies, including conditions that would cause a newborn to die soon after birth. The study compared infant death rates, and this is so cruel. This is like actually disgusting. These people don't care. These people are not pro-life. This is absurd. This is disgusting. A new study compared infant death rates in Texas from 2018 to 2022 to those of 28 other states. Data included newborns 28 days or younger and infants up to 12 months old. Infant deaths in Texas rose by nearly 13% the year after SB 8 was passed, from 1,985 in 2021 to 2,240 in 2022. During that same period, infant death rate rose by 2% nationwide. I guess for a comparison. Yeah, pro-life, Journal of the American Medical Association. Gotcha. Babies born with congenital anomalies also increased in Texas by nearly 23%, but decreased about 3% nationwide. Yeah. So clearly, this is a pretty clear indication of the outcome of the policy. Yeah, it is. It's absurd that these people unironically call themselves pro-life. It's absurd. This is pointing to a causal effect of the policy. We didn't see this increase in infant deaths in other states, said Allison Gemmell, assistant professor of population, family, and reproductive health at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, who led the research. Right, they're not even pro-birth at this point. It's more just like pro-forced, do what I want. This is so just disgusting. While some congenital anomalies can be corrected after birth, including cleft palate and some heart defects, others are deemed incompatible with life. The specific increase in deaths attributable to congenital anomalies really makes an ironclad link between the changes in the law and the terrible outcomes that they're seeing for infants and families, said Nan Strauss, a senior policy analyst of maternal health at the National Partnership of Women for Women and Families, who is not involved with this research. The women and families who have to suffer through this excruciating later part of pregnancy, knowing that their baby is likely to die in the first weeks of life. This is freaking disgusting. Like, imagine because this law is in effect, you are expecting to have a child, you want to have a child, and so, you're expecting, and then something happens, and the doctor finds that you have, your child has some kind of anomaly that just happens, but now you can't do the abortion, right? And you have to go through this, knowing that this child is just not going to make it. When the abortion would have just bypassed all of this, and you try again if you want a child. Yeah, absolute freaking monsters. Yeah, they'll tell you to pray about it, and then that will help. Exactly. You may have to put your life at risk or your fertility too. Exactly. Like even for those who want to have kids, may not be able to do so because they were forced to go through this and now damage or destroy their fertility so that they can't try again, even though they wanted to. And they still have the audacity to call themselves pro-life. Yeah, God's will. There you go. Old Faithful, right? Old Faithful. Just God's will. Mill said the new insight is important for other states since Texas passed SB 8 about a year before the Dobbs decision overturned the federal abortion protections, leading to total bans on 14 states, according to the latest data from the Kutchmer Institute, an organization that researches and supports sexual and reproductive rights. This might foreshadow what is happening in other states. Texas is basically a year ahead. The CDC report already found that infant and newborn mortality rates in U.S. rose in 2022 for the first time since 2001. This shows what probably was expected before the Dobbs decision, that there would be a downstream of unintended consequences by banning abortion in early pregnancy, said Dr. Mary Rosser, director of the Integrated Women's Health at Columbia University Irving Medical Center, who is not involved with the study. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. Rosser added that such bans disproportionately affect marginalized populations, including low-income families and people of color, and that further research is needed to better understand these effects. The researchers of the new study also highlighted the ripple effects that a newborn or infant's death can have on a family, including trauma and medical bills. Because, we live in such a great system that not only are you going to be left with the trauma of dealing with this, but you're going to be left with the bill too. Behind these numbers are people, said Dr. Erica Werner, chair of obstetrics and gynecology of Tufts Medical Center, who was not involved in the research. For each of these pregnancies, that's a pregnant person who had to stay pregnant for an additional 20 weeks, carrying a pregnancy that they knew likely wouldn't result in a live newborn baby. Yeah. Right, but it's not eugenics. We're just making policy that happens to disproportionately affect. We're just making policy that disproportionately affects minorities. But please don't call it eugenics. All right, folks. Thursday, there will be a debate apparently, and we are going to try to do a stream on the Discord. So consider joining the Discord real quick. This is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time. So the plan is going to be to stream for a very short time, just kind of get the headlines out of the way, take a break, come back in a couple of hours on the Discord and stream the debate. That's going to be the plan, and I may fall asleep. We all may fall asleep. Okay, we all may fall asleep. So yeah. Apparently, some of the rules is that the microphones will be muted unless it's their turn to speak. There will not be a live audience to react. It will be 90 minutes 2 commercial breaks. No props, no pre-written notes, just pen, paper, and water. Let's all have a nap. We can be the audience. Yeah, exactly. We'll be the live audience, okay? We'll be playing that part, even though it won't exist in the real debate. We'll be playing that part. No, yeah, and candidates will not be drug tested. Okay. Per the Biden and Trump teams, candidates will not be tested. Folks, it is time. Okay, it's time for me to get some dinner. Thank y'all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the new follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Cognizant, for the tier 1 subs. I appreciate it. Your support is what makes this channel grow. There are many different ways you can support the channel. Consider following the channel here on Twitch. Consider liking the stream on the YouTube. I see a lot of you have liked the stream. Thank you. Subscribed on the YouTube channel. If you want to keep supporting the channel, there are many different ways. If you want to go above and beyond, there is a merch store by hitting !merch. Thank you, A-Bond. I appreciate you stopping by. I see you all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Melantis, Heat, Michael Hassler, SRD Law, thank you, fellow majority reporter. Wolfglen, thank you. I appreciate it. 3 Geese in a Trench Coat, thank you. Cognizant, thank you for hanging out in the stream. I appreciate it. Joey John, thank you. I'm just me. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you all. If I missed any one of you, I appreciate it. Derry Bennett, thank you. I appreciate it. Walter, thank you for stopping by on the YouTube. I see you. Thank you. Heat and Michael Haster, thank you for modding the chat. Folks, don't forget, join the Discord. Grammy, thank you for mixing it up on the YouTube. I see you. Thank you for being there. Appreciate it. Later. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Haster, for modding the chat. Thanks. I'll be back. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll be here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I appreciate you stopping by. Join the Discord, and, join the Discord. Thursday, we'll try to do that debate. I'm going to see about making that fancy bingo card. I don't know. If it's too much effort, then it is what it is. But if I can find a pre-made one, or one that I can just pop in a couple things on the bingo card, then we'll be good to go. On that note, folks, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. We'll be back tomorrow. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. I already started one. Excellent. See ya! Hang tight, folks. Let me see where we can go. Alright, I got it. I'm really not feeling this this new raid feature. Hang tight, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.